What if the secret to sustainable success in your business isn't pushing harder, but slowing down, reviewing, realigning with your original purpose? Right now, Saturn's retrograde path offers us exactly that opportunity. It's beginning in Aries and in the Human Design Gate 25. And then it journeys back into Pisces and Gate 36. And if you think that's powerful, or maybe you don't have any idea, you're going to find out though. Just wait until you see what happens with Neptune following along a similar path. That's coming up in the next video. So Saturn retrograde, we're already into this, starting from, around July 12th, and it goes through to the end of November, so about the 27th of November. It begins in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, and it also begins in gate 25 in Human Design. And then during the retrograde, it moves back into Pisces, so the final sign of the zodiac, and to gate 36, and that's happening around the end of August. Astrologically, Saturn is like this great architect energy. Originally, it was the boundary of the solar system before we got technology that allowed us to see much further. So it has this energy around structure, discipline, responsibility, mastery. There's also a bit of karmic energy in there as well. So retrogrades in Saturn actually invite us to turn inward, to turn to reviewing and to rebuilding. So in your business, this means looking at your foundations, your commitments, and the systems that you're using to carry your vision. In human design, as well as all of those things, Saturn also has this energy of being a teacher, testing us out through the themes of the gates that it's actually activating, either in your natal chart or through transits. So right now, it is transiting through gate 25, which is the gate of innocence, the gate of universal love. And then it moves into gate 36 with lots of emotional energy happening there because it's in the solar plexus. And this brings about an energy of crisis resolution and the potential for our own emotional evolution, which of course flows into our business. All right, let's look a little bit closer at Saturn retrograde in gate 25. So gate 25, usually called innocence, is actually calling us back to unconditional love, acceptance, and this really clear alignment with what our why is. As entrepreneurs, this is the time to actually strip away any processes, ideas, programs, anything that is feeling heavy, it's feeling outdated, or it's feeling out of alignment. We're going to make mistakes. They're not necessarily failures, and particularly at this time of Saturn retrograde, they're actually part of the growth path that Saturn is asking us to embrace. Now, Neptune is also sitting in gate 25 at the moment, and this brings in that very interesting mystical undercurrent, kind of softening things, giving us the energy of having a bit of compassion for ourselves. So then we go through the second part of this retrograde. So gate 25 is also connected to the Aries energy, so the beginning of things as well. And then at the beginning of September, Saturn moves back into gate 36. So it's already gone through these gates in its forward motion. Now it's going back through these gates. So gate 36, sometimes called the gate of crisis resolution, amongst other names. This is a very interesting energy that can often stir up old emotional patterns, unresolved challenges. It can actually make you question your position in your group, or if you're even in the right groups, in business, it can really help you to zero in on looking at where there might be some instabilities that are actually draining you, that just don't feel aligned to you. This is a time, so during September and forward to nearly the end of the year, this will be a time to really examine old reactive patterns, old ways of making decisions. And it's time, as you go through that, to think about, what do I need to release? So this is also a part of the retrograde that enables you to really strengthen your capacity for being a true emotion-led leader, where you meet challenges with calm perspective, not panic. If you're meeting it with panic, that means go back, look at some of the old reactive patterns. That's a sign for you. All right, let's go into a few practical tips to follow between now and the end of November. And this is me combining together the astrology of Aries and Pisces with some of the human design energy. So what you really want to be doing at this point in time is not to get caught up on building new things. It really is a time to audit the foundations of your business. What are the structures like? How are they serving you? How can you improve them? Is everything still aligned? This doesn't mean to say you're not going to still be doing what you want to be doing in your business, but the most important thing is to really examine and align, bringing yourself back to your core purpose and that long-term vision that set you off on the road in your business. Which leads us to the second tip I've got, which is to reconnect back into your true why. Why are you in business? What is that feeding within you? And how is that contributing to, the greater good of the planet? This is really gate 25, asking us to come back and remember that purity of our why. What was the original heartbeat that you wanted to bring out through your business? Then looking at gate 36, it's really about leaning into greater diplomacy, greater empathy, but also making sure that your responses to things are measured, delivered with a certain amount of grace, and with this real understanding that, you are here to serve in some way, and you can only serve by the way in which you can connect positively with others. Oh, my fourth tip, this is a really good time to actually pause and check your perspective. This can be almost like a winter season, in terms of, just allow things to rest a little bit. I would not be getting too involved in doing lots of creating, even though we're in a bit of Aries energy. What is going to be setting that really strong, aligned, strategic view of your business? Spend some time with that, and then that's going to set an even better foundation for you to take your aligned action. The fifth thing that I feel is really important now is to really assess if you are leading from your own integrity. Have you been swayed by different ideas, different coaches, by, the pressure to perform, the pressure to earn money? Saturn really wants us to be accountable for the choices that we make. That the choices that we're making truly are coming from our own depth of integrity, and that they're going to stand the test of time within us, keeping us aligned in our business. So just remember, while Saturn is rebuilding this physical reality of your business, if you open yourself up to that, Neptune being in retrograde at the same time and in a similar place is going to actually help us dissolve illusions, clear out any of those sort of fogs that are getting in our way, and walk almost hand in hand with Saturn in, really allowing you to be visionary, to build up that vision. I'm going to explore that more with some great tips in the next video. So make sure you subscribe to get that. So Saturn retrograde isn't here to slow your progress. It can feel like it sometimes, but that's not really what's happening. It's here to make sure that the ground, the foundation you're building your business on is actually going to be capable of holding the greatness of your vision. So it's time to review, it's time to realign, and it's time to recommit to your truth and your integrity. And as you go through that process, you are going to have a stronger business, a more aligned life, where you will ultimately be stronger, more sovereign, and more aligned to what is truly yours.